Hey. This is me again, Dr. Kit, man. I'm so glad to be able to come on here every Monday night at 6 p.m. Central Time to be with those of you who were able to come online. I know it's kind of a crazy time. May not get a lot of people on at this time, but we're happy for those of you who can come on and just be with us. This is the Shake Up where we take a look at different types of issues, and everybody that comes on, they got their own unique way of experiencing life, and especially as it relates to relationships. So we're going to shake it up. With the shake up, we don't change the structure of things. We just create a new understanding. In other words, there is a story behind the story, and that's the shake up, and that's how we reframe things. Okay, so that's what we're doing. All right. So listen, as we go down through this, we want you to be a part of this show. So just come and join us. We want you to do what we want you to do. We want you to like. You remember that? Y'all don't remember that? Y'all don't like. Okay, so you're gonna get me to say, okay, you gotta like, share, follow, share, and subscribe. Okay, like, follow. Don't run after me now. That's not the kind of follow I'm talking about. I'm talking about follow me on this show on social media, and share it with everybody else, and subscribe, and just keep those numbers going up. And I want you to do the same for other podcasters who are doing some amazing things out there. They having different people come on their platform addressing different things, all of which are good. So please like, follow, share, and subscribe. And also, we would like for you to consider being a part of the show in the future. And if you'd like to do that, just go to drkitspeaks.com. That's who you go to, drkitspeaks.com. At Gmail, excuse me, drkitspeaks@gmail.com. drkitspeaks@gmail.com, and my team will get with you and get you all squared away, and then you can come on and be a part of this show. We've been over a year now. I started out last April, so we're going strong, and we have not looked back. Will not look back. Okay, so just help us on the show, and so that we can continue to share the kind of quality information that we have tonight. We have a wonderful couple. I won't tell you how long I've known them for, because you might feel sorry for me, but anyway, listen, that's just the nature of the game. They're a wonderful couple, and they're going to come right on now, and they have some great things. They have a wonderful ministry, and they're going to tell you about the ministry, and then go into some of the nitty gritties of their ministry. Okay, and we want you to share, to put your questions in, some questions that you have for them. And whatever you want to say, validate them, whatever it is. Okay, so just go ahead and do that. All right, at this time, enough for me. So, oops. Oh my, it's around people. Oh.
Okay. I'll be doing the jokes now. You're going down here already so fast.
We're going down.
Lord, give me strength. Just give me strength.
Listen, man, it is so good. We've known each other for so long, and you are some good people, really good people. We enjoy it. The time when y'all like to tease me. I know your wife though. I know Paula though. She don't tease me. She's just straight up. But you, man, you need, she needs to do something with you.
Okay, let me give my introduction first, and then we go from there.
Yeah. Listen. As always, why don't y'all go ahead and introduce yourselves? And then tell us what you do, and then we're gonna talk about some of the nitty gritties. Okay.
Okay. First of all, I'm a medical herbalist and also a naturopath. And sometimes I say the word naturopath. People, what is that? It's a person who specializes in lifestyle medicine, naturopath. And been to Huntsville Hospital for 9 years, 2 years in digestion, the last 7 years in neurosurgery, brain and spinal cord. And we're also members of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. It's the #1 largest group in the nation. It's now worldwide of 9,000 allied health professionals embarking on this lifestyle medicine journey. And so, and then of course, we're also the co-host of the Abundant Living. It's a lifestyle medicine plant-based cooking show aired on Three Angels Broadcasting Network. So that's it for me. And my initials is ND, by the way, and that does not stand for North Dakota. Because you can ask that question. I can hear you think. Okay, honey, your turn.
All right.
Okay, wait till you finish laughing, honey. Then you can introduce yourself.
Listen.
We
ND
just
could
get
mean a
the
whole.
introduction. It's gonna be a long night.
Listen, man. ND could mean a whole lot of things. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'm Paula Eakins, Curtis's wife.
Oh, sorry for you already. Sorry for you already.
We may have a bad connection if you keep this up, Kissy.
And so I'm a nutritionist and really enjoy what we're doing. It matches very well with what Curtis, with being a naturopath. He looks up the research, gets the information together as far as major killer diseases. And then my job is always to do that other part. As the scripture says, oh, taste and see what the Lord is good, to show people that once we start talking about health and diseases, then they'll say like, well, how am I going to make any changes? Well, that's when we go into the kitchen and put the aprons on and we begin to cook and show people that, oh, it's a lot of good taste in the food that's out there on a marketplace. So we enjoy what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're also the South Central Conference Health Directors. We've been there now, how long now, baby?
14 years this fall.
14 years working with South Central Conference, which makes us travel a lot of different places to be able to talk to people about what's actually going on. So it's a pleasure to be on your program this evening.
Well, I want to add just one thing that my wife left out. And of course, her initials is MS. That does not stand for Mississippi. Now, some people actually ask that question. Really, I'm sure. Now, that was not a joke. Really, seriously. It's amazing. But she's also, one thing she did not add, I want to add in, she's also the plant-based Black Betty Crocker. Oh. So I just want to add that part of it too.
But I wasn't going to say that.
I know, because that's why I said it. Yeah. See, this is 30 years of marriage. So I know what she's not going to say, so I need to go ahead and say it for her. Okay, we finished with our introduction, so that's out the way.
Okay, well, thank you all for watching this show.
Maintain your decorum, kid. Maintain your decorum. You're losing it, brother. You're losing it.
I'm losing it. Okay.
I know you since Mount Calvary.
Yeah. I know. Oh man. But anyway, listen. So we know. So you just gave us some kind of a global perspective on what you do. I don't know where you want to start this evening, but when people talk about plant-based and you're a naturopath and all this, can you all kind of dive a little bit deeper into the specifics of some of these things? Because there are all kinds of people out there who are claiming to be all kinds of things and may not be anything. And so really, and then I know, listen, if you're a part of a worldwide organization, that you gotta have some good credentials, but you also got to have some really good knowledge and information. So can you just start wherever you want to start, and we'll just keep it going, okay?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, man, what you said is a mouthful, because there's a lot of people out there under this umbrella of lifestyle medicine. I mean, there's a lot of people under this umbrella. So let me just back up a little bit. From a perspective, let me go with this, because there's a lot of misinformation about healthful living, period. All right. So with that, what we have come up with, the Holy Spirit brought to my mind, we go with the 3 S's of credibility. The 3 S's of credibility. When you go through these 3 S's of credibility, it helps to weed out error, because a lot of people out there told them to be lifestyle medicine, medical missionaries, and herbalists, and naturopaths, and nutritionists, and some of these erroneous ideas. So the 3 S's of credibility. All right. So now, Kiss, I want you to help me with this now. All right. Put you on the spot. Okay. Now, so no, yeah. Okay. So the 3 S's. S number 1. what source of information can you think of that's infallible, that's accurate, that we can trust, and it starts with the letter S? We know it's inspired. I'm giving some clues. It's inspired. We can trust it.
Yeah.
It starts with the letter S.
And man, the one thing I know that is
From a
definitely
biblical perspective, yes.
credible, we're talking about spirit.
Okay, spirit. Yeah. So that you're in the ballpark. We go with scripture.
Okay, scripture. Okay.
So yeah, but you're in the ballpark because all scripture is
Given.
inspired by God.
Yeah.
So you're in the ballpark. So S number one. All scripture is inspired, God's breath by God. That includes health, includes what you do, and mental wellness, etc. S. Okay. Now, the second S of credibility. That's also inspired, and we can trust it. It starts with the letter S. It's also inspired. It starts with the letter S. This is the second S. It's also inspired. It begins with the letter S. It's also inspired. Okay, this is not a joke. You just keep laughing.
Okay.
Now you got really three to choose. It's three S's to choose. Okay, so you have spirit of prophecy, Sister White, but the one S we use is servant of the Lord, because that's what she called herself, servant of the Lord, and we know that that's also inspired by God. Now here comes the third S. Here comes the third S. And this goes with anything, not just health, but anything. The third S is scientific studies. When you go through all three of those S's, whatever comes across on the internet, the newscasters, radio, TV, print, whatever, we go through the three S's of credibility. When you go through all those three S's of credibility, it simply automatically weeds out error. And that can be your profession, any profession, but health is included. So you made a very good point, because we meet all kinds of folks in this umbrella of healthful living, and things that we've heard, my goodness, like on TV, internet, YouTube, like, I mean, it's all out there. So how can you decipher that? The three S's of credibility.
Okay. So where are you on this, Paula? From a medical, MS, point of view. I mean, where are you with this in using those three S's?
So my area, like I said before, is nutrition.
Nutrition, right.
And so with the area of nutrition, once we let's say someone has called in about a specific disease.
Okay.
Curtis usually has done the research on that disease, most important or up to date. We try to go past 3 years or so. The most potent information is out there on the market. Now, once he discovers or says to me, Paula, I want to do a program on diabetes, or I want to do a program on weight management. When he says that to me, then my job is to go and find the nutritional information on that particular subject. So if it's diabetes, then I'm going to study what is that about diabetes as it relates to nutrition and relates to the eating of food. And so I've got to then come up with recipes and information as I'm preparing things to show how you can mix and match. In other words, let's say somebody might have a diet that we're trying to get them to think more plant-based than the foods they're normally eating. Then, of course, I'm going to find a recipe or foods that look like, act like the foods that they're used to eating, but in a healthier format. So in other words, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If they say they like a certain meat or whatever, then my job is to go out and look at all the things in the marketplace, including things I can fix from scratch. And then I'm going to make foods up that match whatever that disease is.
Okay. Now, thank you. Oh man, my head is hurting with all this information. Listen. You hit on diabetes,
Mm.
That is one of the killer
Yes.
Yes.
diseases for us. For us. So can you talk about, so you're going to do something on diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
and you are going to take a look at the plant-based component, the food, the nutrition. So I'm going to get you to talk about that, Curtis, and then want you to talk about how your contribution to that mixes, so there is a blending of coming from you, coming from Paula, and then you blend it together to make this unit, so that as you move forward. Now, you know, so Paula, can you talk about diabetes, you know, and then Curtis, you can talk about how you're blending.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me say this. Most of the time when people hear the word diabetes,
Yeah.
they always think of the word, or they hear diabetes, they hear the word sugar diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Mm.
but diabetes is not just matched up with sugar. Diabetes is actually matched up more with fats. Because what happens from the standpoint of the nutrition or the body, as we're eating those foods, we got to get the insulin that actually comes from our food into the cell. If it doesn't go in the cell, then it's going to be in the bloodstream. If it's in the bloodstream, that's when it's going to cause some issues for the individual. So my job then is to teach people what foods are better for them to eat, what foods have the most amount of nutrition, what foods are the foods that can keep them from having diabetes. So in the educational portion, we have a part we show on a program. We are doing an actual graphic. I might put up on a board about maybe 15 different foods. And I might ask my audience, okay, look at these foods and tell me what foods are carbohydrates. I can have things like peanuts, cabbage, watermelon, potatoes. I have all these things up on a board. And I'll say, so which one of these foods are not a carbohydrate? And they're looking and trying to figure it out. And as they start naming things, you'll be surprised at how many people do not know what real carbohydrates are. And
Mm.
carbohydrates are the key when it comes to diabetes. Every major killer disease, believe it, but more so for diabetes, because carbohydrates fuels our system. And if you don't have carbs in that system, you're going to have some issues with the blood, with all the organs, everything, because of carbohydrates. So the major key to diabetes is really carbohydrates. So Curtis, talk about, what is that word? That's where he comes in. What is a carbohydrate and why is it important to the system?
Oh, can I talk now, honey? Okay, yeah. Okay,
Curtis,
so
that's
now
Paula, you won't put up with all that. Oh man, yeah.
gladly. Okay, so first of all, so what we do, kids, is the thing about it is a lot of people, we go inside the body, anatomy and physiology. Now, this is something that I learned over 60 years ago in grade school. A teacher, we was in grade school, and we kept asking the teacher, what does this word mean? Teacher, what does this word mean? After a while, she told us, this over 60 years ago, I never forget it. She said, class, if you don't know what a word means, take the word apart, try to define its component, and then put the definition together. I've been doing that for the last 6 years. So with that in mind, with this particular disease, let's define the word carbohydrate. So let's break it down. All right. My teacher, Barbara Russell, matter of fact, incidentally, she passed away, mass mission, a few years ago with diabetes. Anyway, carbohydrates, the first part, carbo, is short for carbon, a element used for combustion. All right, you remember kids back in the 60s, my brother had a 67 Camaro and a 4-barrel car under
Oh
the
yeah.
hood. All right,
Oh yeah. Under the
so
hood, man.
that's fuel, that's energy. So carbo, short for carbon, element used for combustion, energy. Okay, now let's set that to the side. The second part of it, suffix, is easy, hydrate. Well, if we have a lack of water, then we need we're dehydrated. So
Right.
to hydrate ourselves, we need to drink water. Fire hydrate,
Mm-hmm.
hydrate. So let's put this together. Carbohydrate. So the body needs energy to move, function to think, walking, exercise, etc. And our bodies is almost 65% water. So you put this together, wait a minute. Our bodies really need, and it is essential that we need carbohydrate.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So once
Gotcha.
we've done that in our conference, now that we have defined the term, now we can roll up our sleeves and zero in on diabetes. But we cannot do that until people understand what the word means. That's
So,
number one.
so in this part, this is when the audience says carbohydrates. Well, but I mean, I don't eat foods like
I
carbohydrates.
don't
I,
eat
I
bread or
don't eat no
potatoes.
bread, no potatoes. You know, there's certain
I
they
just
start
eat fruit.
they start naming all the things they don't eat
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
why they're off of that. Our job then is to bring those foods that are important to the body system into their knowledge base. So the carbohydrates are actually in groupings. So we teach them the groups. What you want to learn is the groups: the simple carbohydrate, the complex carbohydrate, the overly processed carbohydrate. And this is where we have to go in and teach them the divisions of carbohydrates and what foods fit in that category.
Yeah. We have to differentiate between the different types of carbohydrates.
Hmm.
Most people I even heard diabetic educators put all the carbs in one group.
Right.
I mean, these are educators on diabetes. We need to separate out because God's original diet, Genesis 1:29, Genesis 3:18, is a carbohydrate diet. This carbohydrate has gotten a bad rap. It's almost just above poison. Like, oh, no carbs. God's original diet is nothing but carbs. And from that diet, people lived in the 900s on carbohydrates. But we need to understand there are two carbs that are beneficial, one that's detrimental.
Mhm.
And if we do not define those three types of carbohydrates, then we need to go back first, lay the foundation before we even begin educating people on reversing diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay. So can listen. There are a lot of people that's out there listening. You know, and they play and they replay and they post and do all the kind of stuff. Who needs to hear this? So can you talk about, you know, the simple or the complex carbohydrate? What are some of the carbohydrates that they can really eat and enjoy? Because if you can't eat bread, you can't eat potatoes, you're saying, listen, man, you got to get that carb so you get that 4 barrel.
Okay, now he
You know,
just went back into the 60s.
yeah. You know, under the hood, man, and
Yeah,
you know, and plenty of this. You see, this is
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
got it right there.
No drinking on the job. Okay, read your
Oops,
manual.
sorry.
So first, when we start talking about the word simple,
Yeah.
believe it or not, when we ask the question, give me a simple carbohydrate, they then begin to name cakes and pies and cookies and drinks. But that is not considered a simple carbohydrate. A simple carbohydrate is nothing more than the actual, straight out of the Bible, when God talks about what we can have: fruits, nuts, we call, or
Non-starchy
not,
vegetables.
yeah, fruits, and the non-starchy vegetables. Now, non-starchy vegetable is like, let's say, for instance, if you were to cook a green pea, you will not have a residue behind it. It will just be the peas. It's just going to be there. But if you were going to do something else that might have a wheat with it, you might get a starch from that. So a simple is basically a non-starchy food, any non-starchy food in the carbohydrate kingdom.
And your fruit.
And okay, and your fruit is included in that. Okay. Then the next one's called complex. And complex just really means if I had a food item and I were to take it to a science lab and say, I really want to see what's inside this food, they would give me a microscope. And I could lay that food, that item, on the plate where the microscope is, look it down in it, and I will see all kind of almost like what do you call a interstate, where you see all kind of wires and lines going here and there, all that going.
Mhm.
That's what a complex carbohydrate does. It goes into the body, and because it's so complicated, it takes the body 4 to 5 hours to break it down. And with that in mind, it means you have more staying power so that you're actually able to go a longer time frame from breakfast to lunch and from lunch to dinner, because you're not going to be hungry. So that's why we said it's not the potato that's your problem, it's how you fix the potato. So if you take the potato, bake it, keep the skin on it, it's going to be fine, because it's going to have a lot of that webbing, we call it, going on inside the potato. But if you take that potato, take the skin off of it, get you a bunch of oil and fry the potato and make French fries, no, that's a different story altogether. Because remember, when I started off, I said it's not just sugar that we're concerned about. We're concerned about the fats, because fats can coat a cell so that the sugar, what we call insulin, cannot get inside the cell. Glucose cannot get inside the cell itself. And so they're now learning, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I thought simple was potato chips and candy. No, now I'm finding out that it's fruit and non-starchy foods. Now I'm finding out also, wait a minute, she's talking about complex. So I need stuff that I'm going to eat that would take me from one meal to the next. Now it starts getting a little bit more different, because now we're moving into the.
Well, before you do it, now let's get an example of a complex.
So your complex food would be brown rice,
whole grains, and legumes,
whole wheat bread, your bean kingdom. All of these different things here are called complex because they have that matrix that takes a longer time for the body to break it down. And that's going to be more healthier for us.
Now let me add this, because of the Olympics, simple fruit, non-starchy vegetables will give you quick energy.
Very quick.
Complex, whole grains, multigrain, legumes, beans, peas, whatever, give you longer lasting energy. So like the 100-yard dash, most of them are going to be on simple energy, simple carbohydrates, quick energy. But those 1,500 miles, 1,500 around the track, 4 times 800 meters, whatever, they're going to be doing complex, because they need energy that's staying for going around the track for 8 times. So it's just different, but both together is needed. Now, when those two are refined, you have the third type of carbohydrates, honey.
And they're called refined carbohydrates.
Refined or processed.
This is the one where we now hear things like your cookies, your cake, and your pies, all that good stuff that people like to hear. Now they're like getting upset because they were hoping.
I can't get upset to that.
They didn't want us touching that. They didn't want us touching that. But see, once again, what is composed of those foods? Lots of sugar and lots of fat.
And the fiber, a lot of the fiber has been removed. So now it's called processed, or sometimes in medical literature, refined. And that's the third type. And most people simply do not differentiate between the 3 types. There's actually a 4th type, ultra refined.
Ultra refined.
That means your donuts and there's ice cream. That's worse than refined. So but if you don't identify those 3 components of carbohydrates, that's the foundation to even get into the topic in the first place.
Well, one of the things that we do along with that, now remember, we're talking to this audience and they're already kind of feeling kind of different because of what they're hearing. So then we bring in the graphics and also the videos to show food going into their mouth and watching the food travel down through the system.
Yeah, animation.
Visual aids now are coming into play. And now they're getting a chance to actually, not just what we say, but now let's look at it from a scientific standpoint. Let's see what the body is doing for each one of these things. And so the body will show you putting in a simple carbohydrate, a complex carbohydrate, and watching the body break it down. It blows their mind when you see that part, because we go inside the body system and let them see for themselves what's going on.
Yeah, listen. We got something coming up. A question. Thank you so much. I've heard that white foods are not good for you. Does that include white potatoes?
Now,
okay.
Okay. We love it.
Okay. Yeah. So now this is where.
Thank you, Ellen G.
Yeah, this is where energy comes in. Education comes in. Now, so white food. Let's define that. When we say white food, now we're not prejudiced. So white rice is bad. That's processed, as opposed to brown rice that's complex. You see the difference?
Uh-huh.
Okay, again, white bread that's processed, as opposed to whole wheat and even more beneficial multi-grain bread. See the difference?
Mhm.
Now, let's go with the potato. Box potato, processed, but a baked potato with the skin
On it.
Potato says, you can eat me, but please, I don't want to be naked. Keep my jacket on me because that's the way. No, potatoes do not grow out of the ground without skin. They
Oh
grow out
man.
of the ground with skin. So if we remove the skin, then it's processed.
No, it's naked. Naked. You just said so.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't want to say the word, but since it's your program, so you said it. So yeah. So you want to eat it the way it comes out of the ground. So
Yeah.
since potato skin comes out of the ground like that, then that's the way we want to eat it.
Yeah, you want to scrub it down and eat it. The other thing is white flour
Yes.
versus whole
Whole
wheat
wheat.
flour. So everything keeping it intact as to what it's been made by nature, by God, is going to be better for us. So my job then is to prepare once again, like let's say for instance, go back to that potato. Now we talked about the potato with the skin. Somebody might come across and say, well, I don't like baked potato with the skin on it. Okay. So, but they said, but I like French fries. So guess what? On that show, then what I will do is wash the potato off, keep the skin on it, cut it real thin, spray a little bit of spray on my baking sheet, put it in the oven, 450 degrees, and guess what? I make potato chips.
Wow.
They're like, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they say. That's exactly
Not
what they say.
deep fried,
See,
baked
baked.
with the
Baked.
skin on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get that fiber as well. All right. So we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. But now you got boxed potatoes, and so that's where you comes the refined part. So that's why the potato gets a bad rap, bread gets a bad rap, because people do not make a distinction between white bread, white buns, whole wheat, multi-grain.
Yeah.
So no breads, no. Pastas is excellent.
Yeah.
Whole grain
Whole
pasta,
grain pasta.
not enriched.
So that's why we say
Yeah,
we're not trying to take anything away from you. We're trying to let you see that you can have still some of the things you want, but in a better format. And that's where the cooking comes in. Because now they're saying, well, I don't know about all that. That's why we put the apron on and say, well, let's go ahead and taste and see what the Lord is good. Now, once they had that potato that's been baked in the oven, or the potato we call it potato chip, whatever, they're like, well, this is not bad at all. No, it's not bad, because there's been a bad rap for carbohydrates, but it's how you prepare the carbohydrates that really work for you.
Yeah, that's why education, this topic here, Kitchen, is because we're let me just say this quickly. Where we live, this is Huntsville, Alabama, where we live, and of course our territory is South Central Conference. We're in the diabetes belt. Alabama.
Explain that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So Alabama has one of the highest rates of diabetes in the country. We have the second highest rate of counties in the state, which is called the insulin desert. Insulin desert means that you have a high rate of diabetes in the county, coupled with people who do not have insurance. So those two together call it insulin desert, and Alabama has 418 insulin desert counties. I mean, it's like second highest in the entire nation. So when there's a high degree of diabetes, it's in this area. We're in the diabetes belt, all right? We're in the cancer belt. We're in the stroke belt. And we're in the obesity belt. All four belts runs through Alabama. And there's one organization called the Health Council, not the Health Council, but Health Ratings. They rank states according to one's health status. And a lot of governors use this rating to get funding for their state. And long story short, they rated Alabama as the most unhealthiest state in the country. We beat out Mississippi. Wow. Anytime you beat out Mississippi in any category in health, you're in bad shape. Mississippi is number 2, by the way. Right. I mean, I'm just saying. So that's why we have these conferences in this area, the diabetes, Defeating Diabetes Conference. We had it here in Huntsville at the Embassy Suites, downtown Huntsville.
Packed house.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back again, by the way. the Healthy Heart Conference. I think you and your wife were there on that one, I believe. Yeah.
Listen, let me say it, but when you bring it back, when you're going to bring it, before you get off this show, if you know when you're going to bring it back, let us know. Let's talk about it.
Okay, and remind me if I don't if I forget. Yes.
And then he also mentioned the cancer belt as well. So we had a big cancer program here as well. Our main thing is educate, educate, educate. Our theme is you are down on what you're not up on. So our job is just to educate you, to give you information, not to beat you up with it, but to give you information so you can go away and make good lifestyle decisions and change your health. And we've seen people make those changes and actually have to cut back on what their medications they might be using. They're out there now walking. Because remember now, the program is not just about the nutrition part. We're also now talking about what you had earlier. We talked about the water, how important water is, and how important it is to not be stressed out, and how important it is to go out and take a walk. So we call the 8 natural laws that we're actually educating on as well. And then we cannot leave out the spiritual component about how God is so interested in the mechanism of our spirit and our physical and our emotional selves. So all that is a part of the education. And when people leave out of there, they are so surprised at the new information they've had, or we call a better understanding of the information they might have heard but were not sure of. So our ministry really is dedicated, and we say ministry is because both Curtis and myself hate to see people hurting, and anything we can do to help them to understand, to help them to get themselves together, that's what our ministry is all about. How can we help people live better and do better?
Okay. And reduce their medication costs, because at the end of the month, sometimes people say, okay, do I eat or do I fill my prescription? I mean, one should not even have to make that choice.
Yeah.
And we're in the insulin desert here in Alabama.
Yeah.
But it's kind of rough when you have to make and say, do I do this or do I do this?
Absolutely, yes.
Is there a way that you could just say systemically how we can create a balance between not having to do one or the other? What would your suggestion be on that?
Okay, yeah. So the suggestion is that there needs to be education on lifestyle modification so that one can reduce the medication cost. So at the end of the month, you don't have to make that decision.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's the point. Because when we did the winning ways to weight loss at our church, been doing it for years, we focus on weight loss for 6 weeks, 1 day a week for 6 weeks on weight loss. So while you do it about 7-8 times at First Church here in Huntsville. We just focus on weight loss, eating, nutrition, exercise, that kind of thing, going to bed, whatever, drinking water. We never mentioned about diabetes in the whole 6 weeks, 7 weeks. But guess what? Because we emphasize lifestyle factors, improving their lifestyle, by the 3rd and 4th week, some of the people start coming up to us and realize, oh, Curtis, guess what? My blood sugar is now going to normal levels. Well, we never talked about diabetes. We talked about lifestyle. But because of lifestyle, the side effect was your blood sugar is now in normal range. So it's the overall umbrella of lifestyle impacts blood sugar levels. It can start reversing heart disease as well, reduce the risk of cancer. So it's a ripple effect when lifestyle is incorporated, taught, multimedia presentations, workbook, animation, visual aids. We have a diabetes foot. I mean, I worked in surgery for 7 years. One of the most surgical procedures that I dread the most in assisting is amputations due to diabetes. And typically it's the toe, the big toe, then half a foot, then at the ankle, below the knee and above the knee, in that order. I can't put out my PowerPoint presentation in the surgery room. It's too late for that. All right. So I need to be on the other side so that therefore individuals do not have to get their foot amputated because of diabetes and lack of diabetes control.
All right.
So the first part of our programs is really where Curtis comes in with the definition of a term of what we're studying or going to talk about that evening. And then he goes all the way into the body system, let them see what's going on. We have the graphics and all that going on as well. And the people, we're able to keep their attention because they get a workbook when they come in, and they have to fill in the workbook as they're listening to us talk. And then at the end is when we get into the Otation C. I put my apron on, I come out, I cook the food that matches whatever that program is. So the people go away with a knowledge base, full knowledge base of the educational portion of what's going on, definitional term, what does that actually mean? What can it mean to them as far as lifestyle is concerned? And then the next step is, well, why don't we put some food in your mouth?
That's it then, man.
That's it.
Once the food goes in the mouth, they're going down, brother. They're going down. They're going down.
You got that. Listen. You know, I've watched you. You know, see y'all cooking up there, acting like you ain't got no sense. But that's all right. That's something. Curtis is the one to act like he don't have any sense.
You talking about my wife or me?
No. But here's one of the things I really like, because it takes us to another dimension, and that is to see both of you, okay, doing what you do on the show, complimenting each other in the hardware that you use, complimenting each other in the knowledge that you share, the blending, and complimenting each other in your spiritual life, and complimenting each other in your emotional lives. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm asking, how important is it then that as far as possible, you know, at a systemic level, saying one area, you know, has the possibility of improving other areas, has the capacity to improve other areas of your life, so you can go from what you do to the physical, to the emotional, to the spiritual, and you do all of that in combination with working with each other. Can you talk about the efficacy, you know, of working together to get the job done?
Okay, yeah. So, okay, now that is a very powerful question you just asked. So let me just back up a little bit. We did a First Church spiritual gifts last year, but even before that, first of all, we must know our own spiritual gifts, our strengths. All right. And so I did a spiritual gift. My wife did a spiritual gift, and you know, the top 3 gifts comes up to the top. Of course, you know, I told her my 3. She told me her 3, and of course, we weren't surprised because we knew one another. And so, therefore, my wife has the spiritual gift of evangelism. My top spiritual gift is teaching. So we need to kind of stay within the lane of our spiritual gifts. So therefore, we must know one another's strength. And then once we know one another's strength, then we kind of stay in our lane. We try not to let our tires touch the yellow line. Because I go over to nutrition and food and preparation. No, my tires is touching the yellow line. I'm getting back over here. When it comes to herbs, and she talking about herbs, no, her tires are touching my yellow line. She get back over her line. So we must know our strength, and then we complement one another. So knowing one another. So this is not a contest. This is not who's better than the other person. This is the point of when we come together as a team. And Jesus said this in Luke chapter 10, or Luke chapter 9, he sent his disciples out by 2. By 2. It's a reason for that. And so when I'm down, she's up. When I'm up, she's down, etc. We complement one another. We inspire one another, and we pray with one another. So I think God put us together, and we came together 32 years ago because like interests in the first place. I'm going back, you know, how we met. I was an herbalist, and I knew that everything can be cured by herbs. And I knew that I was unbalanced. I knew that. I need somebody to know something about nutrition. And my mom said, oh, this is a lady. She just graduated from Alabama A&M in the nutrition. I talked to her. Now, it's a long story short. This is the man version. So she's nutrition, and I was herbalist. And then we came together very platonic, not thinking about dating, just working together on healthful living with the community. That was it. And then, of course, it evolved into Well, Lord, give her for me. She pleases me well. Okay, that went to another level. So, and
But you went on
I'm
the
going to stop
scripture on
there.
that bad boy.
Yeah, because if I keep on talking, I'm in trouble. Oh, she just kicked me already. See, but anyway, so we came together with like interest in the first place. So
Yeah.
God put us together for such a time as this.
And the main interest is that we both have a feeling, a strong feeling for wanting to help others.
Yes.
And with that in mind, that's why when Kurt said we stay in our lane, if someone comes to me, they might come to me at church or whatever and say, I would like to talk about herbal medicine. And the minute they say that, I always say, that's not my area. You got to talk to Curtis. If they go into the area of nutrition, Curtis will say, you need to talk to Paula. So we don't travel each other's lane. And it's easier that way to just stay where you're planted. And I know that God gave that gift to me and gave Curtis the gift he has. And I believe that for this time that the Lord was preparing us to be able to go out and speak about health and healthy lifestyles with people, staying in our lanes, and yet being able to help people to understand that they feel as they're listening to us that we have a concern for them. We're not just talking. We're not trying to sell stuff to them. The only thing we're going to sell to them is Christ, and Christ him only crucified. That's definitely going to come up in that time frame. When you made the statement about how do we get along, is because we do have both a very strong spiritual life. And this is the same thing with our clients or people we're talking to. The question is, from a mental standpoint, where are you at with the Lord? Where you at? And how do you and the Lord deal with your journey or the different things you're going through? How do you do that? There's no way, even if you have all the knowledge about health, nutrition, and science and all that stuff, if God is the missing component, it's not going nowhere.
So with that in mind, here's a bomb. Here's the bomb. So if we just talk about health in the community, church, whatever, just about health only, how to reverse diabetes, heart disease, or whatever, and we stop there and add nothing else to it but just the health component, then all we're doing is preparing healthy people for hell. Because we left out the spiritual component. It comes together. So we don't just want healthy people in hell, healthy people in heaven. Major difference. Therefore, the spiritual component need to be a part of, and it is a part of our ministry. So we put in there, even in the community, non-Adventist community, Christian community, of course, we're in a part of the Bible Belt. In our presentation is always Bible text, the Word of God. Not a whole lot, but just to let people know, oh, wait a minute. I didn't know the Bible has that to say about healthy living. We always have some handout, a Bible study guide, Amazing Facts Bible study guide, whatever, because if we leave that component out, we're simply preparing healthy people for hell.
Yeah. I like that, but let me thank you, man. This is great stuff. But let me just go back because, one of the things that I hear coming through what you're saying, what both of you are saying here is just that we just got through, we're studying about parables.
Yes.
Parables. And a lot of the things that you say are kind of parabolic, it's just, it's you're saying something, but there's a meaning behind what it is that you're saying, you know. And one of the ways, something you just said that kind of triggered that is you said, listen, stay in each other's lane. And so for me, the parable could be like, we're watching them put up some buildings close to where we live. First off, the people came in, they cleared the land. It was at a foundation. Then they had plumbers. They don't do electrician work. Electrician don't don't do the painters work. And the painters don't do the framing work. Right. And it is so good. And it reminded me of that when you said, listen, I don't cross over my lane. I stay where I am, because all of those guys who are putting the house up, they are all professionals in their own way, but they work together like this to make sure that everybody is working, under the umbrella of their gifts and their strength, But the other piece too is this: you reference the spiritual component so much that I see that, even though you didn't say this, but I'm asking you, it sounds to me like you're making that the cardinal piece, the backbone of what you do, the central nervous system of what you do, and everything else kind of just frame around it. Am I anywhere close?
Yeah, that's our driving point, because
Okay.
you look at Jesus's ministry. You look at the first time that the word gospel is used in the New Testament, Matthew 4:23. Talks about Jesus' ministry. He went around all Galilee teaching the gospel, teaching in the synagogue, preaching the gospel, and healing all manner of sickness and disease.
Right.
The second time that the word gospel is used in New Testament is Matthew chapter 9, verse 35, almost the same exact text. The third time, Matthew 11:5, Jesus flipped the script, because now Jesus is talking. He said, cause the blind to see, the lame to walk, the lepers cleansed, and then preaching the gospel. So all three times that healing is always part of teaching and preaching. Okay. Christ's ministry. So we combine not just teaching about health, it's also teaching and preaching, also Christ and him crucified. It comes together as a team.
Okay, so I got a question here for you then.
Okay, it's gonna be a tough one, honey. I think we're bracing up for this one.
Now, when you put on your conferences and you invite people, you don't necessarily know their backgrounds and much about them. How do you then do what you do in such a remarkable way to engage people who may not have a spiritual bent, a spiritual desire, but they want to hear the words and the information that you have to give? That's what they came for. How do you kind of a segue, blend that together to make sure that you don't lose them, but you still give them what they need?
Okay, good point. Okay. Yeah. So, number one, let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
When we advertise our conferences, and they're free and open to the public because we're part of South Central Conference, we have a budget. So therefore, we can have these conferences free in these hotels, auditoriums, etc. We do know who's attending up front because we go through Advent Source that does our registration.
Okay.
This is a Seventh-day Adventist organization nationwide, North American division, that does registration for a lot of different conferences that the Adventist Church present throughout the nation. Advent Source. So I told the lady, when they do our conferences registration, get the names, address, phone number, and also, here it is, their church affiliation. Now, if they don't have a church affiliation, then that is left an asterisk. So now I go and see the roster and say, oh, Baptist, oh, Pentecostal, oh, asterisk. That means no church affiliation. So we have an idea who's coming based on the registration from Advent Source.
Now also too, it's another thing you have to remember is because our ministry is God-driven, we pray when we are ready to have a conference that God would open the door and bring people who need to come. So let's say there's nothing being said about the spiritual aspect of it. The bottom line is that people don't feel good. They're unhealthy. They are going through a lot. It could be things in their family going on. It could be things with their job going on. But all of a sudden they see this conference coming to town on diabetes, and they have diabetes. So they're going to automatically say, you know what, I'm going to go to that. I'm just going to go. So when we talk about, it's not bathed in spirituality, but it is bathed in concern. So the Spirit of God actually moves Curtis and myself, even in our presentations, to say things. Sometimes I can be saying something and hear myself saying something else that was not a part of my notes. I know that that's God speaking. And people at the end, I will say something like, if you've got an issue, something you want to talk about, you don't want to open it up to the public to know what's going on with you, then why don't you, we're available to you at the end. And at the end, people surround themselves with Curtis and myself because they want to talk personally with us about what they're going through. And sometimes the diabetes is not about what they ate. The diabetes is about mentally what they're going on in their own lives, their own stresses, their marriage, their children. So it goes beyond. See, God just uses the health message with us as we call
the entering wedge.
the fishing pole. So we got the fishing pole out there, and the bottom line is that the fish are going to come in because the pole is there. But my job, and Curtis's job, is to teach you how to fish for yourself. So they're coming, and they're coming for all different reasons. So we bathe it with prayer. And so we know that the atmosphere of those people coming in, I don't care what religion they are, they can be atheists, but atheists also have high blood pressure and heart disease and diabetes. And so when they see the billboard and we start praying for the Lord to be with any conference, we never enter a conference without confirmation from God. We never do that. And before we start a program, we pray and ask God to be with us and be with the people. The atmosphere, change the atmosphere. So we have never had, in all the years we've been doing this program, we've never had any time where we've been disappointed. Never been disappointed.
The thing, let me add this one last thing. This is very important. When, like my wife says, atheists, agnostics, infidels would never set foot in anybody's church. All right, we know that. So how did we get those people? Like my wife says, those people also have heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. So when we minister to the people's physical needs, even though they may not be spiritual, but their physical needs, just like Jesus, there are 36 recorded miracles of Jesus in the Bible. 36. 24 of the 36 dealt with healing, over 70% almost. When Jesus ministered to the people's physical needs, it opened up the door to minister to their spiritual needs. It softens the heart. So therefore, now we come in with those other individuals who are sick but have no spiritual inclination at all. Now they're open to hear other biblical truth because they've seen it on the screen in the PowerPoint presentation. That's how that works effectively.
Somebody's asking.
So there's a question. How would you like to answer that question?
So somebody's asking, so what is South Central Conference?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me back up a little bit because the audience is varied. So the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Thanks, LNG. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is a world church. There's only two world religions in the world, too. Seventh-day Adventist Church is the world church. It's divided into, number one, smaller units, the church. And then outside the church, you have a conference. This is a territory, maybe a few states. And then outside the conference is a union. That's more of a portion of the United States. And then you have the North American Division, which is the entire United States. So South Central Conference is a smaller portion of the United States. Now, South Central Conference is comprised of basically 4 states: Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and the northwest part of Florida. That territory is called South Central Conference, all right? And so there are some 55 conferences within the United States. South Central is just one of those conferences which comprise that territory.
All right. Thank you so much. Whoa, thank you so much. Listen, you just laid it all out on us. I tell you what, man.
By the way, now let me say this before. Like I said, we're on 3 Angels Broadcasting Networks, a worldwide ministry, plant-based cooking, lifestyle medicine, etc. And so we're doing a special 2-hour live presentation on 3 Angels Broadcasting Network, September 5th. This is now at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So those who don't know anything about 3ABN, you can watch it on YouTube, or you can watch it online. Just go to 3abn.org. Again, the number 3, abn.org. That's the website. And then you click on September 5th, that's a Thursday, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Then we'll be presenting a special 2-hour live on defeating diabetes. Now, the first hour would be the education. I'm going to have a visual aid, etc. The second hour, we're going to our kitchen. My wife will take over and go with the cooking class. So that's September 5th, 3 abn.org, September 5th, at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time.
All
I know
right.
time is short. Somebody asked a question about how does that help nutrition help with a relationship in the family. The bottom line is that, basically the woman, the mother, is the one who's actually preparing the foods. As in most of our conferences, there's more women there than there are men. So once she is learning how to prepare good foods for her family, she can make a transition. I can just only use, once again, and we do this also, kids, in our program, that is our own personal testimony. So I can only say that before I got involved in health or even in the church, I was just fixing stuff. Anything I wanted to eat or I wanted my children to eat, I fixed it. But once I began to get involved in the area of nutrition and learned how nutrition can prevent my family from having heart disease and diabetes and obesity, whoa, and believe me, even though they say the husband is the gatekeeper, the husband is the gatekeeper of the home. I'm sorry, the husband is the priest of the home, but the mother is the gatekeeper. So when I learned in my marriage that I was responsible for my husband and my children's health by what I prepared for them, this is separate from all the other stuff that I'm responsible for, then it was my responsibility to make sure my family was eating healthy. So everything I could learn about eating healthy, about preparing my family for the kind of meals they could eat, then that was my responsibility. And therefore, I did not have those kind of issues in the family. So how does it help a relationship? Good food can help a relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, it
All right. All right. And
my wife and I, we have a program now that we go to churches now, and we have a section. Now, she has a program entitled Cool Answers to a Hot Topic. That's just for females. I mean, we're talking nitty gritty here that you don't hear, but needs to be talked about as far as that's concerned. Then I have a program just developed just this year. It's entitled Bedroom, Belly, and Beyond. All right. And so bedroom, I mean, we got problems in the bedroom. And I'm not talking about how to fold a fitted sheet. That's another problem. I'm talking about the other problem.
So what are you talking about then? What are you talking about?
Okay, no, we'll talk off camera. All right, yeah. But yeah, so because if our health, what we eat, what we put into our mouths, can also affect our bedroom experience.
Absolutely.
That's one type of relationship, just that alone and nothing else.
Wow. Okay, man, you heard it from Paula and Curtis Eakins. And he's got a BBB for you. And that's not the Better Business Bureau.
I like that.
Yeah. But it could name Better Business.
Well, I thought about the place that my wife goes all the time, Bed Bath and Beyond. Said, okay, I need to have something that I can't have a program entitled How to Reverse Erectile Dysfunction. I'll be the only one there and the deacon who opens up the church, and that's it. So I got to repackage this. So, but we talk about, and then the Beyond part is prostate cancer. Yeah, that's the Beyond part. Yeah.
Man, listen, I thank you. I thank you. As much as we know each other and we see each other and we, talk to each other, I tell you, my knowledge base has been immensely increased tonight, this evening. I really do appreciate it. I love the way you break down the various levels and intensity of carbohydrates, and so that it's easy to understand the carburetor, what you put in the carburetor is going to make it go, and the hydration is that's the other part of that. So there's this combination and this whole thing. But man, this is good. I don't know why the Spirit told me to talk about diabetes, and you all just dropped it on us, and we're so happy. Listen, we're going to shut it down, but listen, we're going to let you have the last word, and anything that you want to leave with the listening audience before we go. And again, I just want to thank you. My guests tonight was Curtis and Paula Eakins, and some great people. Curtis Eakins, ND, and Paula Eakins, MS, and very good people, wonderful people. you should check them out. Listen, how to get in touch with you? Is there some way to let?
Yeah. Yeah. So our, of course, my cell is 256 5198. Again, 256-683-5198. And I would say this too, our website has to rebuild again. There's a lot of complications on that. But anyway, you can just simply type in our name in the YouTube search box. Just go to YouTube, simply type in our name. That's it, and click. You see a lot of our cooking shows, our talks, reversing or altering Alzheimer's, controlling cancer, the war on cancer, understanding cholesterol, a lot of cooking shows, 1 hour cooking shows. I mean, meal planning. So just simply type in our name in the YouTube search box and get a lot of information there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And one last thing I want to say is, sometimes when I'm working out in the gym in the morning, I'm looking at the TV screen, they have all these people, all this sweet stuff and stuff that they're just preparing with all that white stuff, sugar.
White stuff.
That you talked about. It's just nothing but raw sugar, sweet stuff. It's just, and then we come and we hear this potato with your clothes on. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that, man, when you said potato with your clothes on.
He's still stuck on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, when it goes well with BBB, right?
Yeah, that's right. All right.
All right. Listen, Paula, Curtis, I really do thank you. Thank you so much. Great info as usual. Quite enlightening. Thank you all so much. You've been a pleasure. Both of you are truly a blessing. Cliff Blaylock. Hey, Cliff, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well, man.
Yeah, Cliff used to be in our Sabbath school class.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but that's all right, Cliff. We still claim you, man.
We still claim you. Okay. All right. So listen, thank you so much. Michael's going to pull you back in the back room there, and we just talk a little bit off camera if you got some time. And thank you again. Excellent information. Aquana Hampton, thank you so much. And thank you. That's it. There you go, folks. That's it for my show, for my guests on the show tonight. And wasn't that a great show? These people are amazing. Everybody I get on here are amazing people in their own rights. We don't just get people just to fill in. We get people who know exactly what you need. Well researched, well spoken, great delivery, honesty, and they make it just so clear and so plain that anybody can understand it. They're not speaking to a specific class of people who come on here. They're just talking to those of us who need information. So again, I want to thank Curtis and Paula Eakins for coming on. And they spent a lot of time talking about health living and diabetes. Okay, listen, if you'd like to be a part of this, if you'd like to be a part of the show in the future, please go to email drkitspeaks@gmail.com to be considered. Okay. And I keep giving those of you who drop some really good comments in there, just go to drkitspeaks@gmail.com and we'll have you on here too. We really will. We want to have you here to be considered. Okay. And then, of course, the last thing that I'm going to say is, to keep the show alive, you've got to do what? You got to like it. You got to follow, you got to share, and you got to subscribe. That is the lifeblood of this program, the Shake Up with Dr. Kit. You got to like it, follow, share, and subscribe. So thank you so much for just hanging in there with us one more time. It was great having you online. And please stay tuned, because every week we got something. And again, just go to YouTube and type in Paula Eakins or Curtis Eakins, and you can see all of their historical information. Great shows. We see them because we know them. We know them personally in church. So and we do know, and that when they do their 10-minute stuff at church. So please do that. Okay, thank you so much. May God bless you. See you again on next Monday, 6 p.m. Central Time. Shake Up with Dr. Kip. Be blessed. See you then. Bye-bye.